Mike.
Thank you. I'd like to call the Foster-Glocester School Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Ms. Joyce?
Here.
Mr. Mara?
Here.
Ms. Pezza?
Here.
Mr. Dupuis?
Here.
Mrs. Keeling? Here. Mr. Joyce?
Here.
Mrs. Cook?
Here.
Ms. Ferrera?
Here.
And Mr. Rizzo?
Here.
Can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I'm going to ask for a motion so that we can move into executive session for a very brief moment, and then we'll be right back.
I make a motion to convene to executive session to discuss and/or vote on the following matters: update on budget, Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A, 2, legal advice, impending litigation, update on potential litigation regarding alleged teacher misconduct, and update on budget.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We'll be right back. No, we're tabling it, yeah.
One other thing. I know, that's.
Okay, we reconvened, we're, nothing to report out because we have to go back into executive, right? So we're just gonna move on to number 7, which is FY '27 budget. Do you wanna do a little bit, or?
No, so I look and see many of the same faces. I certainly don't want to waste anyone's time, but maybe we can just quickly go through. At the last meeting, we just went through some important terms. Those of you who are familiar with the budget know. Those of you who are new to the budget, local appropriations, little vocabulary lesson. Taxes paid by the local towns. The way that's applied to the FY '27 budget is it was $18,058,039 for FY '26. You'll see that's the same number for FY '27. That's why the budget was given as a 0% increase to local appropriations, which is where you'll hear the term maintenance of effort, or MOE. That's the amount contributed by the community, not less than the previous year. And there's a general law that supports that, and I'll show you that later on. You'll hear state aid as you talk about a budget. Those are the state funds appropriated for educational purposes. When we created the budget in January of '26, it was $6,013,588. That gets updated every May. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, sometimes it stays the same. When we received it a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, it was about 10,000 higher than you'll see in the budget. Again, keep in mind this budget is started in October, November, December. A draft is presented between January and February for final approval at the first meeting in March. So some of these numbers are estimates, always are estimates in a budget. And then you'll hear supplant versus supplement. We spoke about that last time, and that's really whether you're replacing versus enhancing. And that has to do with educational programs and primarily with our state aid. So just keeping in mind that the original budget proposed back in March had 0% increase to local appropriations. That's that bottom number, which means there will be no additional increase to the taxpayers based on the local appropriations last year. And that general law right there, I pulled it up last time, I certainly won't read it to you, but 16.723, this is what governs our budgets. It really talks about the maintenance of effort, which are your local appropriations. You can't go below that from the previous fiscal year except for 2 reasons. And then state funds. Those are really what that law discusses and governs with respect to school budgets. State aid is always anticipated and estimated based on the governor's proposal in January. An update is given in May. That is usually after the budget is already adopted in March. So we update it after the budget has been approved in March. Local appropriations, simply the revenue from taxes from the towns of Foster and Gloucester. And then tuition, that's our other source, primary revenue source. We are fortunate that we have that. Many schools around the state don't. Local towns, Foster and Gloucester, do not. It is an additional revenue source for us. We're proud of the programs that we've developed, and the teachers here have helped develop and sustain those programs. It is tuition from other districts that they pay for their students to attend our CTE programs. Amount is dictated by the state and varies for each district. It is estimated in January, February when we create the budget based on what we perceive the schedule to be and keeping it with the same number of students we have. Then when the schedule is completed right about now, we're in that process, then we can look and say if there are extra students on a waiting list, we would be able to add them in based on the available seats in each one of the CTE programs. That's going on now. But until those students actually enter in September, we're not sure that they're officially coming, and that's a revenue source that we can definitely say that we're getting. It is anticipated. And then this is the timeline. If you were here last time, you saw that we start our foundation numbers at the beginning of the year. October is our open house, and we have our current CTE students who come and facilitate that time, and they get a great pizza party at the end. They're wonderful tour guides. January, February is when the students in district complete their course requests and schedules. If you look at the bottom of that, that's typically when we prepare our final budget. The next green box or icon, March, April, that's when our sections are determined for our in-district kids. But that's also when our final budget is approved. So there's the uncertainty of what our CTE revenue could be because we're not entirely sure. In April and June, that's when the finalized schedule happens. Usually, we have an approved budget by then, and we're sure where we are with personnel, and at that point, we'll open up extra seats for the CTE waiting list. And then there are some additional openings that could potentially happen over the summer. If a student says, hey, I'm coming, and then they say, no, I'm not, we would be able to go a little bit deeper with the wait list. This one was super important, and this is probably the 4th time you're seeing it now. I went back to FY19 after we were asked a fund balance question. I could have gone before that, but when I created this for the March meeting, we only went back to FY19. The question was, and you'll hear sometimes structural deficit, this district has consistently, except for FY22, which was post-COVID, budgeted the use of fund balance, and it primarily was based on the reasons in the previous slides: unknown state aid and unknown tuition. However, you can see consistently from FY19 to FY25, we have not had to use that fund balance, and I don't anticipate we're going to use it this year because we included extra students in our CTE program. It's also important to notice that the local appropriation increase and the budget increase are not the same numbers. So when you hear an $882,000 increase in expenditures, that is our total increase, but we offset it with revenue. So the increase to local appropriations, that's that bottom row of FY27 is 0. Keep in mind that according to state law, you cannot go lower than 0. So this was the lowest we could go this year for total appropriations. There was a motion by Ms. Pezza on our our second financial town meeting, and the motion was to reduce the expenditures by $882,853, and this is our second meeting to discuss the reduction of those expenditures. I'd say again, keep in mind that your revenue is expected to cover those expenses, and if more students could come in, then the revenue could be higher. Thank you.
Do you want to start, Shelley?
May I make a motion by any chance, just to start the discussion?
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a budget for the FY27 school year that includes local appropriations of $18,058,039. That's level funding from the local towns. Second, then we can discuss. Yeah, I think that includes the portion of the funding that directly impacts the local taxpayers. I think it's level funded. I would also say as part of that, we should read all of these documents that have been put together by some of the taxpayer groups and local constituents, and we should take a look at that month over month to track how we're doing against our budgeted expenses and look for opportunities to further reduce our budget over the course of the year. But I think that that is a good legal motion for us to do so that we can support our staff, our students, and our school for next year. That includes the 154.
Oh, you added it back in?
I just leveled whatever it was.
So it's the budget we originally presented before Shelley made the motion to cut it?
Only on the side of Main Only what? Only on the side of Main not,
Basically, you're just adding in the 154.
Correct. Said differently, I hope our administrative team goes out and pursues grants. Any grant they can find, pursue a grant. If we receive a grant for $1 million to put on an amazing theatrical performance next year, we shouldn't be limited in how we expend that money because our budget is locked in at a set value. We are getting more revenue than we anticipate. We should be spending it on school programming, and we should be maintaining our legal obligation for the maintenance of effort. We should also be taking a look at some of these budget items that were presented to us to see if we can make some corrections as we go. But this is the part of the budget that I believe the taxpayers speak to, and we're addressing their concerns as far as that 0% number goes.
So they voted it out, and you're saying we should put it back in?
I think we should, and then we should wait and see what RIDE has to say about how that vote proceeded at the last financial town meeting. Should they come back with a different determination or different decision, then we'll have to revisit that budget, and we would do that. But in the meantime, I don't think it's responsible for us to cause undue harm on the school community and the taxpayers here by putting at risk programming as well as state funding.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Just a second, Beth.
Can, so can I ask for
just need
clarification? So that motion Shelley made to cut 800, we're nullifying it?
I'm making a different motion as I sit here today.
Wait a minute, I just need clarification.
His
on what
motion
we-
is only on
The
the local,
154?
on the local appropriation, has nothing to do with the
With
total
cuts.
budget, correct? So it's basically what we'd be doing anyways.
I don't think we're clear on the impact of what was done at the financial town meeting. If it's something that could be sustained by a ride, and if it's something that we're even permitted to do as a community. Until we get that determination, I think we're adhering to what our legal obligation is, which is to level fund. That's what we presented, that's what's shown here, and we move forward with that. If we hear otherwise, we come back to the table and we talk again, and we figure that out.
Okay, I understand what.
Can I pause for a second? So you just made a motion and seconded it, right? Someone seconded it? Did we have a discussion yet?
We're trying right now to figure
Right.
it out.
So I think we as a committee are, correct me if I'm wrong, entitled to a discussion before any commentary
Go ahead.
from the public.
Go ahead, Amy.
So, first I want to say I appreciate that, this document looks like a lot of work went into it, a lot. So I appreciate the document and the work and the time that someone took to put all these cuts together. What I don't appreciate is getting it right now, when we're supposed to be making a decision. I think we have gotten ahead of ourselves at times and made decisions without understanding the impact. Someone just brought up that word, and I already had it written down. So I'm not in the place to vote on cutting a packet I just received without knowing the impact. I appreciate this summary, if someone would like to read it to me, because I'm also trying to be present in this room and listen to the discussion, not trying to absorb someone else's hours worth of work. Okay, putting that out there. I also want to say that, there's so many layers to the situation that we're in. There's so many reasons why we're here. We can't focus on one aspect of it because we are doing a disservice to the whole and the entirety of the situation. I understand that some people are impacted maybe by the decisions at the region, and maybe others are impacted by the decisions at the Gloucester or the Foster level. And that's important. It's important to notice and be cognizant of what we are, why we care about what we care about, why we want money here and not over there. It's important. We care about things if we're affected by them, okay? And the decisions that we are making and have been making have affected a lot of people and will continue to. I've spoken a little bit about the impact on me, I have children in all levels of the school. I have a child that hasn't even gotten to the school yet. I'm evaluating the stability of this entire town for my family. And I understand that many people sitting in this room or that might tune in, or I also know that the people sitting at this table also care about that. So I am personally putting out there that I'm done making blind decisions on information I just received. If someone would like to explain what all this is to me, if they have thought out the impact, I don't know that they could, because I don't know that they care about these cuts, because they care about something else, okay? And maybe the impact on them is a lot, and I don't want anyone to suffer the impact of I don't think anybody up here wants anyone to suffer from the impact of a decision that we're making. But we have to be way more thoughtful about it. We have to consider why we want money in certain places. We have to have a real conversation about how we restructure things, how we redesign things. We cannot keep just cutting lines in a budget and not thinking about the impact. That's all I have to say. I hope everyone else gets an opportunity to speak before the public comments.
just by asking, we're just going to be talking about the maintenance of effort motion right now, correct? I just wanted to make sure that that's, okay. Brendan, can I just ask for the rationale? I understand where you're coming from when it comes to.
I can listen, I'm pulling up an email that I received from the previous administration for homeschool states. I'm preparing my comment. I'm present.
I just want to make sure we're all present.
Cindy, I am present, don't underestimate me, I can multitask.
So I'm just curious about the rationale because I get where you're coming from, Brendan. I truly, truly do. I just don't know the legality of, with the voters voting on, say, budget, about what the implications are because, do you know what I mean? It's just that.
1,000% I know what you mean. And I think that's part of it. We don't know the legality of the vote that was taken, which is part of the problem. So we run the risk of doing real harm to the school system while we wait for that legal decision to be rendered. So the thought is that we maintain what we're required to do. We support the staff and services in a reasonable, responsible manner. We wait for that decision. And I want to emphasize again, I think it's important that the work that folks did to go through the budget, it's a lot of work, to identify areas that might need some refinement. But we need time to process that and to put that through.
No,
and we should
absolutely.
do it. But the idea is that we don't know the legality in either direction, so I would rather err on the side of caution with regards to our school community, our school system, our families, and ultimately our taxpayers, because there's a real question about what this does to our state aid as well.
So just, again, and I'm sorry I keep asking the same question. You're just talking about adding the 154 in. What about the additional 800,000 that was proposed?
I'm speaking only to the local appropriations, what that number is, which is 18 million.
154, adding it back 154.
I'm speaking only to the total number, so I can't tell you that 154. I can tell you 18 million. I can't
Right,
read
so we
this.
still-
58,089.
But we still, according to that motion, then have to address the 800,000 that was cut.
I think we have to wait until we hear from RIDE as to whether or not that's something that we can and should do. And once we have that, it's an entirely different conversation. But I think that's still something that needs to be basically adjudicated and weighed in upon. Nope, I am good exactly where it is. I don't think we should be setting a cap on what our budget is for the reason I noted. We have income that is variable in nature, whether it's the tuition programs that we have, which we've identified as an area that we can probably take a closer look at. We agree, and we should. We have state aid. We don't know what that number is until, frankly, far too late in the game. We have grants. We have other pieces of revenue that do come in. We should welcome that revenue if it's appropriate for our school system, and we shouldn't limit it by the cap on our budget. What we should do is maintain that number that the community is obligated to pay directly to us, which is where that number comes from.
So if I could just speak quickly, so I completely understand where you're coming from, and I respect that. However, the towns already, I know Foster already had a vote, and I think Gloucester already made their decision. And I don't know, are we waiting for a response regarding the 154? I thought you commented, Greg, that it had to go to, I know we're waiting for some feedback back from RIDE regarding the 882. But are we waiting for feedback regarding the 154,000, or is that something we have to pursue through Superior Court?
So at the last meeting, you authorized me to send a letter to both town solicitors of Gloucester and Foster. I did that. In that letter, I indicated, or I asked why, I indicated that notwithstanding the 154 cut at the regional financial meeting, we sent bills to the two towns reflecting a level funding, which is what I believe Mr. Mara's motion is. We also were told through our business office that both towns were not going to fund that 154. I went through the maintenance of effort statute. I mentioned that there's only two ways to reduce a local appropriation. One is elimination of a non-recurring debt service, It was clearly a misunderstanding. I attached all the minutes that Renee was able to pull up from 2021, where the water bond was clearly paid out of a fund balance and did not have anything to do with maintenance of effort. So that was clearly an improper motion, in my opinion. The towns are not allowed to reduce their appropriation based upon that rationale. And the rationale, that was the rationale. The exact number of 154 plus was based on that water bond. There is another way to reduce, and that is if there's declining enrollment. I pointed out to both the solicitors the link to the website, which reflects that your, according to RIDE's enrollment data, you actually gained 13 students between October of 24 and October of 25. I said, if you have some basis for disputing any of that, please let us know, because our position is that 154 cut is not appropriate. I received a response from Mr. Igliosi today saying he will bring it to the town council ASAP, but I don't know when that's going to be. I have not heard back from the Foster solicitor yet. But if they refuse to add back that 154, your only recourse is to file suit in Superior Court for injunctive relief. The commissioner ruled last year in a case we had in Gloucester that we can't go to RIDE for that 154. We have to go to Superior Court. So you would either face the prospect, if they refuse to pay you, either accept that and make the cuts or threaten litigation.
Yeah, you mentioned the second part. So there's litigation, or we acquiesce to what they've suggested. But I think the first step is we need to make it clear what our actual budget is, right? And then, it's a matter of the town council to talk to us and vice versa.
So thank you for that, Greg. I do have an email I'll be happy to forward to the administration that was from doing student enrollment count in 2022 between the previous administration, and I'd be happy to forward that to anyone who'd like to see it. They did not count homeschool students in their count, and it's very clear in the email when they do the enrollment totals. So I think that's important, but I will forward that to, I just received it over the weekend. I will forward that to everyone so they can see it. With that being said about the 154. So I think that's important to note. I also would like to ask, I know we did receive the unanticipated revenue this year, the $714,000 in state aid and the $800,000 in tuition revenue to date. What line items has that, or what?
Educational programs as part of the whole budget.
Even though it wasn't budgeted, that's why I was kind of saying, like, what line items did it go to? I know it goes to obviously it goes, this is the school, so it goes into educational programs, but what lines?
We're not using fund balance this year because of those increases in revenue.
Well, we're talking about 1.5 million. You budgeted 400,000 fund balance. That's a big difference. So where did that extra money go? What line items? What UCOA lines? What departments?
So that's something that goes to our fund, our general fund for all educational programs, our revenue does. But I'll shift you back because I think this is important. My perspective anyway, sitting with Ann, is where is the discussion or suggestions for the recommendations of cutting the $882,000 on the motion that was made at the financial town meeting? Because that, we can answer all of those questions, yes. But at this point, with this meeting, if the purpose of the meeting is to say where you're going to reduce those expenditures by $882,000, then I do think that conversation needs to move forward.
Absolutely, but do you want, we have a motion on the floor right now. I was talking about that first. Do you want to vote on that motion that Brendan just made? What, I don't. Bring up, so there was somebody, so I didn't know what to do because there's already been a motion. I'd be happy to address that, but Brendan already made a motion and it was seconded.
I hear that, but I don't think the discussion is over yet. At least I'm not done discussing it, so I'm not ready to vote. Does anyone else that didn't get to speak have anything to say before I? Anyone? So, okay, so I'm kind of playing out the motion in my head, and I think it's probably because of my perspective and where I stand in all this, that part of me wants to say no to the motion because the Gloucester schools are struggling and the town is struggling and everyone else is struggling. right? There's a part of me, that's all I'm saying. And also, just to the voter integrity piece, I agree with that. So part of me wants to say no for that reason. So I guess the part of me that I wouldn't, look, the court thing to me seems like continuing more of the same, and I'm just over it. And what I'll say is 154,000 or whatever, you can correct me on the penny amount, is such a drop in the bucket of a $33 million budget. And I just feel like, I think there was a point brought up about like having budget actuals and not being able to like make a decision about, like, maybe we shouldn't make a decision about the 154,000 until we have more clarity around revenue or whatever it is that people are requiring clarity on. So I will probably need some more forethought before I make a decision about that motion. I don't think, again, like, that's really solves all of our problems either. So I guess that's it, if no one else has anything else to say.
I think we have to look at this in two different buckets, because the motion was made cutting two different buckets of money. Right now, we're putting aside the state aid and the money that's coming in from other sources other than the taxpayers. So what we're trying to address right now is only one side of a massive cut. And it happens to be the smallest at 154, disregarding the 800. But right now, I think what he's trying to do is just address that one portion of the budget. And then we can move on to discuss the second piece.
Yeah, I think that's fairly accurate. I would say that I think this is the part that we really should be directly speaking to at the town financial meeting, which is that local appropriation. Obviously, it ties into the entire budget and how that all plays out, but I think this is the part that's really, it impacts the taxpayers the greatest. It certainly impacts the students and the staff and the schools the greatest. Amy, to your concern, what I would say is that it's easier for us to basically include it now, and then if we needed to, once we understand what the opinion is from RIDE with regards to the overall action from the last financial town meeting, then we consider what we do with that number, and we have a much more informed conversation with ourselves and with the towns once we know what the overall number might be. Does that make sense?
It does. I just, again, it's just in regards to like being timely, being like fully aware of the impact of the decisions, and again, preserving some communication and acknowledgement of everyone's position in this. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't believe that did not occur. I don't have any intention or desire to blame any one person at all, actually. I think partly this is a design failure of the way our districts are structured, partly. I think we all probably need to take some ownership for being here right now. But I think the reality is the most important thing is, actually the most important people in this aren't sitting in this room. So I'm struggling with the decision that we have to make, and I don't know that the 154,000 is really like the biggest concern in this room, I would imagine, but I could be wrong.
I think that's sort of the question, right? I'm not sure that that's a decision that we're fully equipped to make right now, because we're still waiting for an opinion from RIDE and from the state to indicate what our obligation is. So acting in a manner that penalizes the entire system and potentially the taxpayers, again, with that state aid piece, is something we need to keep in mind now. We can always revisit in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, if we need to, but we need to move forward with a
Well,
number.
why would you separate the two then? Why is one motion, why can we overlook one motion and decide to ignore it and not the other?
Which motion are you speaking
In
to?
other words, Shelley made two motions, well, one motion with two parts. You're undoing one part but leaving the other.
I guess what I'm saying is we're still waiting for an
For
opinion
both.
from the
We're waiting for an
state.
opinion on both.
Well, not really only one, right? Because the other one, we're not waiting for an opinion on the 154. We're only waiting on the opinion from the 882.
We're waiting to see if we have to wait on an opinion for the second one, if you will. Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Foster already answered.
Okay. Well, Gloucester didn't tell you one way or the other, they just said that they'll get back to you, they didn't respond.
Foster responded. That's what Kelly told me that they did.
My understanding is both towns sent to your business office an indication that they will not be paying the 154. And what I'm waiting for is whether the town solicitors will tell me whether they think it's legal for them to do that. And if they think it's legal, why they think it's legal. Is it a reduction of a non-recurring expenditure, and/or is it a decline in enrollment? That's the only answer, and they may say, we're not gonna tell you. But that's the only thing with regard to the 154 that we're waiting for.
So as of right now, both towns are still not paying it.
Can I just offer clarification as well on some of the data that gets submitted to RIDE? I think it's important. I don't know what the email is, Shelley, but if you have it, you can.
Put that down next to you.
Oh, if you have it, you can send it to me. So it's for FY '21. Keeping in mind that the first budget I created was FY '24, and in '23, RIDE changed a submission report where all those other categories that Greg had mentioned were now included in '23. They were not included prior to that, so I can't speak to anyone before me. I just know the way we report data, that the data reports or the submission reports changed with those categories in '23. If that's helpful, we will continue to look and get more information, but as I stated before, the census reports are not in my office and they weren't easily accessible, so it is still a follow-up. But RIDE changed the way enrollment data.
In 2023.
I know you said you can multitask, but as I'm speaking, it's really, I know, it's just, we teach our students like to have eye contact with someone who's speaking with you, and it's professional to be able to have a dialogue and be present. This is a very, it's an important conversation. No, they didn't change the format, they changed what the submission report looks like and now included those categories. So I don't know what happened in '21, whatever information you can share would be helpful, but when I started, the FY '23 budget was already created, and I started in '24, just for clarification on the reports.
Last thing I'll say is, what I'm speaking to is making decisions preemptively. Like, for instance, the scheduling of this meeting. I'm pretty sure we knew coming into this meeting that we didn't have all the information to make the decisions that we're sitting at this table to make. So why is the meeting even happening? Shouldn't we wait till we have the information to have the meeting and stop wasting everyone's time?
Yeah, but Amy, what information do you know? I mean, we have everything we need. I mean, we've had, like, this is the, okay. I mean, this is the 5th meeting we've had.
I'm just saying, I don't think if we don't have the information, what's the point? I'm just making a statement.
So I'm gonna say, for my opinion on the motion, well, I appreciate it, Brendan, I don't think we need it. I think that 154 is ours. It wasn't a bond drop-off. It was part of maintenance of effort. That money's ours. Let's have it be a void motion. I don't think we need to make a new one.
I agree. Any other, Aaron?
Just, and again, just my opinion on this, because, Amy, I agree with you in terms of the 154, because, again, it's a drop in the bucket, especially when it comes to 18 million. Another thing is, if I recall correctly, and again, not trying to rehash or anything like that, but wasn't it like when our bonds were did we keep the money in? I thought Buster said that we did keep money in when we refinanced or something like that into the maintenance. Previous administrations, did we not? I thought you said in 2010. I thought that was part of
2010?
From 2010 on, because it was the change of the bill, but from the other, I thought with the interest or whatever, because I thought that he had that meeting with you of where.
Yeah, I mean, I never said that it when it refinanced.
Because I thought he said that during the meeting or whatever. But
No,
either,
but he said he believed that, and he said 2 years, both of which were before.
right,
our
before
time,
you
and-
guys,
and
which I wouldn't,
would not be able to say that, because I don't know how that shows in the budget. So it's not something that I or she can answer.
no, I totally understand. So just with that being said, I'm thinking that in terms of 154,000, if that was the case, the taxpayers already might have had that reduction previously, and again, we can't go.
sit here and assume.
I know that,
It's not the case though, Aaron. I mean, and you can't
but
say.
we don't know that either.
You can't
So-
say it's a drop in the bucket either. I mean, 154,000 is a lot of money. Just
That's
because
a
it's
teacher.
just
or
because it's
two.
part of an $18 million budget doesn't mean it's not a lot of money.
But also compared to a $33 million budget, it's 154,
Aaron.
that can go back to Gloucester. I'm just
But
saying.
it will not. And Amy's saying that the 154 might end up back with the Gloucester kids. We all know it won't.
I didn't say that, actually.
You said you're considering whether
No,
if you vote the
I'm
154.
considering the impact and the relationship between the town and the school district, which I don't think has been considered for quite some time. And we all can have a difference of opinion. I'm just sharing mine. I'm sharing my perspective. It has nothing to do with anyone sitting at this table, okay? It's my truth. I'm speaking it. No one has to take it personally. I think we, I'm legitimately want to make an informed decision. I don't have enough information to do that. Shelley, if you would like to share a little bit about your budget cuts, I mean, that would be informative because, that would be a useful, use of our time if this is what we're gonna do. But if this would be a waste of time because we don't actually have to cut this, then I don't really know why. I don't know. I'm just confused, I guess.
That was all what I had to say.
Are
Thank
we
you.
all done? With that? No, but yeah. I didn't want to talk over anyone.
Okay, Brandon, I understand what you're trying to do, but let's back up a couple of steps. There's a vote that was taken by the town voters. Both Foster and Gloucester had the opportunity to show up and vote. Shelley made a two-part motion. The first one being the 154, or the second one being 154, and the first one being the 882. That motion passed. So what you're asking to do is to have a majority of 5 people override the majority vote at a financial town meeting. You can't do that. Your motion is out of, let me finish. Sure. Your motion is out of order. There was a financial town meeting held according to the regional charter. That's it. The town council in Gloucester, I can't speak to Foster, but I know Gloucester has put that money in a restricted account. Until there is movement on one or both parts and there's an agreement about whether that vote was legal or not, that's the motion that stands. You can't do anything about it.
No, so I can speak to that a little bit. There's a question that's standing as to whether or not the motion that was made and the action that was taken is legal. And that's what we're waiting for resolution on.
That's right.
I can sit here now and make a motion that everyone in this room has to wear pink hats on Tuesdays. It doesn't mean they have to do it. It doesn't mean it's legal. I can make it. And what we're waiting on is for that decision to be made.
Right,
And once it's made,
until that
then we'll
decision-
have a knowledgeable place to speak. I can talk loud too. That's cool. But we're waiting for that decision to be made.
Right, but until that decision is made, the
The
vote
legal
of the-
advice we're getting is entirely different from what you're saying, or at least it's suggested that it's
No.
different from what you're
So by
saying.
your argument, you can make a motion now to restore all $182,000.
All 800.
That's
I
carrying your
theoretically
argument.
could, yes.
Yes.
You could.
Yep.
So you could just totally disregard. a
No, then what
majority of
would
the
happen is
financial town
probably
meeting
someone like
voters.
yourself would challenge that motion and that decision by this body. I would hope that if I were way out of line like that, this body wouldn't approve that motion.
I would hope that your legal counsel sitting here would say, you cannot make a motion to override the financial town meeting voters cutting at 882,000, which is in accordance to the.
Were I to
charter of the
hear
town.
that, I would certainly rescind the motion now. But we don't have all of the information that we need in hand to follow what you're saying. And to do so ultimately penalizes this school system, I should say, the students, the staff, and ultimately the community by potentially putting state aid at risk.
Right, but you don't need those funds right now, okay?
We do,
You-
we have teachers and
No,
We-
programs.
you have other non-personnel dollars that can
I
be used
do think that we
in the
should take into
budget
account the
pending-
suggestions made
pending
by
the process.
yourself.
But what
We
I
can
don't want-
review the budget, and we can take a look and see if some of those can be implemented in the future. But as we sit here now, I don't think it's responsible for us to roll that in.
Yeah, but
No, that's me.
I don't want to see you committing $154,000 to a personnel payroll, then find out it's a legal cut. And now you either have to own that person without having the funds available. What I'm saying is, you have millions of dollars in your budget that are non-personnel tied,
Sure.
that you can table your motion until this all plays through.
I won't be tabling it, but I also don't want to see something where we cut a teacher, we cut 2 teachers to make a cut, to acquiesce to what you're suggesting, when it doesn't need to be done, and we impact programming, we impact school culture here, and we do so in a way that's irresponsible. It's a level-funded budget, it's responsible, and it speaks to the needs of the community. I understand where you're coming from, and I do think we can probably do a little bit better with some of the efficiency and the line by line item of the budget. I don't think what we're saying is illegal by any stretch of the matter, and we can wait and see what they say. And if they say otherwise, well, we meet again, and I'm sure you'll have a lot to say to me then.
Brendan, question for you.
Sure.
Sorry. So, I don't know, I'm just trying to clarify. You said you're going to keep the motion on the table, so part of me heard a little bit that you made the motion because that's part of the process of this meeting. And now we're having a discussion about it. I mean, I appreciate you putting some thought into that and really considering the impact on the district. And by no means do I want to see the only flourishing aspect of Gloucester right now be, disseminated like the Gloucester schools are being currently. And I'm hearing about, student, like the impact here on students and, not to be rude at all. I mean, I have a 15-year-old son. I feel like, you know what, I think he can shoulder a tiny bit of impact, right? The little ones, maybe not. And again, I know that we cannot guarantee that that money will go back to the schools.
It won't.
I know that, Mark, but I didn't say that. I'm saying, there's a right thing to do, and I think that there is, in my opinion, the right thing to do is to consider every member of the town, and $154,000 in you said 18 million, that's appropriations, that's not the total budget. 154,000, we could likely recoup in revenue. We don't need to argue about here, I promise you that, because we don't even have enough information to have this meeting. Thank you.
Right, but the difference with that, though, is the 154 isn't just part of our top line. 154 is part of our maintenance of effort, and that sets a precedent on our maintenance of effort. That's why it's important. If it was 154 part of the larger budget, I mean, I'd be against it, but that's still something we could discuss. But you're talking about potentially reducing our maintenance of effort. That's a big deal. That's why it's important.
I understand that. I get the setting precedent piece. And I would agree with that statement if we were in a regular district, which is not structured the way that we are. We cannot continue to choose one population over another because there's discord or disconnect between our 2 legislative bodies.
Hi, Jennifer Spaziano. So I think I heard Greg say that you have a choice to either sue the town or just let it ride. But you don't I guess you could, but what would happen, right? So as you were saying, you can't overlook the MOE reduction of $154K because you cannot use state funds to fill the gap and pay for those expenses. So we have an earmark issue. We have right? We cannot supplant. It violates prohibition on supplanting local funds in state law. We all know this. You're obliged to the law. And I hear what you're saying, but you can't try and please everybody here, and the law is important. We have to uphold the law. And what will happen if you choose to say, you know what, The town really needs this money right now. Gloucester's going through a lot. I hear that, I know that, and there's other ways that we can all work together to fix those issues. I'm from Foster, but my kids go to middle school and high school. Like, I care about your issues, and I know that the Foster committee members care about your issues. I'd like to see us, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say the thing. Okay. You know what I was gonna say. Okay, so what will happen if you don't do it? If you're like, oh, you know what? Forget it. Let's let it slide. You know what will happen? The state will come after you. And those funds will be gone. You will lose. We will all lose. We don't only set a dangerous precedent, we have to think about the legal implications. The motion that was put forward had unintended consequences. And now you're grappling with it as a committee. Your responsibility is to the school first. You are the school's advocate. And that's not a bad budget, and you all should be proud of that budget. I know you worked on it with the administration. 0% town appropriations, no increase in our taxes. And we have an amazing school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jen,
I just want
to be
to
clear,
say that.
when you said the motion was out of line, were you speaking to the one tonight or prior to this?
Sorry, say that again.
She was
No,
talking
no.
about the one made on.
I wasn't talking about Brendan's motion
I
right
just
now.
wanted to be clear.
Actually, Brendan, can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure
I think I understand what you're trying to do. Are you trying to separate the two issues right now and have a discussion on just the
Our obligation as a
154?
community is to really discuss that one piece. So I think it helps to separate the two issues. It locks in where we stand on the maintenance of effort. But ultimately, I think this is the piece that we really should be speaking to.
Right.
The other pieces of income are really unknown. I mean, I know it's weird to say, they're huge numbers, but we don't really know. So when we lock in the overarching budget, that value, we don't know what we're tying in is the problem.
Okay.
Can I?
Go ahead, Beth.
Yes.
Excuse me. Brendan, although I appreciate what you're trying to do. What?
A lot of appreciation.
Well, it is. I mean, obviously, maintenance of effort is our most important thing. I think we wait. Greg wrote a great email with a lot of material that maybe the town solicitors had never considered or never saw. So I think pretty quickly versus, I don't know about RIDE, but our two solicitors from our towns could respond quickly.
I think what Brendan's trying to do is just make I don't want to speak for
Statement.
you, but you just want to make a stand saying that this is our money. We need to protect our teachers, protect our programs, protect our students. And that's why you separated it out
And if the towns elect not to pay it, they have a compelling reason not to, we can always not collect the funds and not spend the money on litigation. That's a conversation we have here.
And initially, I was thinking we don't, along the lines with you, Mark, that we don't need a motion, but truth is, if we were all united on this, it would send a message to the town councils, to the taxpayers, saying, listen, we believe this was made in error or without thought, and I think it shows a united front between
I think
the 9 of
we
us.
all agree on that. I think Greg's letter was crystal clear to the solicitors. So I think we wait rather than getting ahead of ourselves. So I will take back my second.
Legally, if we vote just to go ahead and put this 154 back in our plans, we're okay?
Well,
We sent
I
the
wa- I
bill
wanna try to-
anyway.
let me try to give it a little different perspective. Again, when we were here at the last meeting, a lot of almost all the discussion was on the 882,000 cut. And I wanted to remind the committee that you actually was 1,039,000 because you had to add in the 154. And that you had, in my opinion, you had a choice. you either make those additional $154,000 cuts because the towns had clearly said they weren't going to give you the money, or you don't make those cuts, and we see what happens. So whether this motion passes or not, I think that's still the impact of where we are. If you were either going to make a, as you discuss either here today or some other date, you're either going to make the 154 cut or you're not.
Can I just offer another layer of clarification? I'm not sure if you're aware, but Ann did send the bills to each town, Brendan, with the 154. So technically, we have asked them to pay the full amount of local appropriations, the full maintenance of effort. The bill was sent with the full 154 included.
Can I just say one more thing? Brendan, I appreciate that you made the motion, and not to flood you with appreciation, but to focus our energies, because we clearly have struggled with that recently. And I also want to thank Jennifer for coming up, because while I shared my perspective, I do agree on the MOE piece and the legality piece. I just tried to offer a different perspective so that we can all start to think, a little bit differently than maybe from the position we stand in. I personally would like to wait. I mean, I don't know if I just don't know if I feel comfortable making a motion on it, and like, if there's already the law backing it up, is the motion even necessary, is kind of my point.
Can we move to vote?
Well, there was no more second, Beth, so somebody else has to second it. Beth removed her second.
I'll second it.
You'll second it? All right, I think maybe it will just show a united front for our, all right.
Can we repeat the
Do you want,
what I'm putting in for the
Brendan, do you want to read it one more time?
just so I know the motion?
It's on your slide.
Oh.
Just go back like 2 slides.
Oh, where's
No, not that one.
He said I'd make a motion to approve local appropriations at $18,058,039.
That's correct.
All right, so you have it.
I do.
Give it to me, okay, thank you.
And Michael seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, let's do a roll call, because I don't know. That was too much for me. Michael? Yes.
No.
No.
Aye.
Yes.
No.
No. No.
Yes.
Yes.
What'd you say? I said yes, okay,
Cindy, yes.
okay.
Amy?
No.
No.
Aaron?
So we have 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4?
4 yeses, 5 noes.
4 4 yeses. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4 yeses.
Yeah. Yep.
Mike, Brendan,
Cindy and Eileen
Eileen, and Cindy,
were yeses.
yeses. And I have Shelley, Beth, Aaron,
Mark,
Amy, and Mark as noes. Correct?
yes. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the personnel action layoffs. And the way that the motion is currently phrased, it's a motion to approve the teacher layoffs. Now, the sentiments that I'm seeing expressed from the majority of the committee is that we should be patient, pending the rulings from RIDE. I think that there's other reasons to be patient. One of them is that, to me, it seems totally imprudent to move forward on the layoffs at all, especially considering the other ways that we could potentially make cuts, or hopefully the money that we get back. And so I don't think that we should even vote to approve the teacher layoffs. I think that we should make a motion to reject the teacher layoffs and wait to hear back from the appropriate authorities that we've appealed to, because that kind of clarification will allow us to make a more informed decision. I don't think that moving on the layoffs would solve any problems, considering the other variables that we've heard from recently. And so if we do make a motion, it should be to reject the teacher layoffs and vote on that.
And I don't think we were done talking about the budget anyway, but. Yeah. No, before we even make a motion or not on that, we still have to discuss the $800,000 cut that Shelley put before us.
Fiscal year budget, okay.
But I think what Mike is saying, and I do support that, is that there is money, but there is a ruling that we're waiting to hear if that's even a legal motion. And if it's not a legal motion for cutting the spending, because it's not local appropriation, then it was irrelevant to make that.
We've also kind of received some clarity as to where the body stands relative to the maintenance of effort piece and the different inquiries that we're launching with respect to that. And so the only remaining discussion to have with respect to the budget is on the $882,000, which I think can be subsumed into the discussion on layoffs. And so maybe we can kind of wrap that up into one package, discuss it, vote on it, and then kind of put to bed to give the people out there some clarity as quickly as possible. Because it's been dragging this on a little bit, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if you want, we can have a discussion, but I'll make a motion to adopt the 25-26 budget as we wait for a response from RIDE and give a directive to the superintendent and the budget subcommittee to go over the proposals that were made by the work group for the budget.
Can you clarify? I think you said in a work group. 26, and who's the work, you said
Yeah,
work group.
hold on. She's trying to get, they're
No
both
problem, no
asking
problem.
the same question, but
Nope.
they asked it
Yeah, it seems
literally
so.
at the same time.
So the 25, because that's essentially what my motion was. To approve to make a level funded budget, to approve the 25-26 budget.
Do you mean 26, 27?
This year's budget, yeah. I make a motion to, yes, the 26,
The
20.
budget we're in, or the proposed budget?
No, the 26-27 budget that we're in.
Which budget are you making?
No, the one that was presented,
That levels to actual.
that levels to actual, as we wait for a response from RIDE on the $882,000, knowing that there's revenue coming in.
Where's my grave? This one?
Yes, the budget, yes, as we're waiting for a response
So we
from
move
RIDE.
forward with the budget we presented at our very
No,
first.
no.
The one that she proposed that levels to actuals from 25.
Thank you.
Which,
This one?
25-26, yes, that's what I said, 25-26.
She wants us to stick with her motion.
Well, with the understanding, because we even talked about in executive session, with the understanding there's revenue coming in to offset it, and it might not even be according,
We can't use that revenue. We have plenty
This
of
is,
revenue.
this is why I thought we should restructure things, because if we vote to reject the layoffs, then, so the whole purpose for us, kind of moving with additional speed on rectifying the $882,000 situation was because there's a deadline for layoffs. If we don't move to lay anyone off, then we have more time. If we have more time, we don't have to adopt a level funded budget. We don't have to adopt someone else's proposed budget. We can just wait and be a little bit more diligent, and hopefully, we hear back from RIDE and we have more money to spend.
You
And
have the money to spend.
I know,
Here's-
but,
right,
but we
here's
would,
here's
the ruling on
conclusion.
the original motion would be voided. That'd be
It would be,
my
and
ideal situation.
when I came in front of you a few weeks ago to present personnel actions, I clearly stated it's not anything I recommend, it's not anything I support, and as I sit here with the people that I've had conversations with, even right now, I don't think you have a definitive explanation or decision as to what you're doing, and I hope you make some decision tonight. However, when you look at a budget that has been reduced, and we will look at the cuts, and I do think it's important to talk about the cuts tonight, for you to reduce $882,000 from a budget, knowing that the majority of the budget is salary and benefits, you're not going to get to $882,000. So you're either saying, if you level fund from last year, that is impossible because you have step increases and you have contractual obligations. So level funding is not, I don't believe.
get there.
Okay,
You
so-
have to get to the point where if you made a motion, which you did, Shelley, to reduce by $882,000, those suggestions should be offered. I'm not saying they should happen with personnel. I in no way support any of the teachers that I had to give letters to for you to lay them off. That impacts your educational programs as well.
So
But-
if I may, so all I was I'm sorry, Mike, but I'm gonna kind of emphasize what you just said. All I'm trying to do is to bias, the only reason why we're rushing these meetings is for the layoffs, and I do not.
Okay.
sup-
It's
Hold
not
on,
that we're
hold on,
rushing.
hold on. Let me speak. I sat here while Renee speaks.
No, I just want to ask a clarifying question to Greg, or because, so if we reject the cut the $882,000 cut and decide to rescind, layoff notices, there are legal implications to that, correct? Potentially. Legal implications. If for some reason this ends up being a cut that can be made.
So again, I'll go back to the question I had at the last meeting, which was, if you make the cuts, whether it's 882,000 or 1,036,000, what happens to all of that revenue? Everything that you talk about, this present, budget breakout, whatever, it's all on the expenditure side. And I asked Ann, the rhetorical question, what happens with all of that revenue? And it just goes to your surplus. So it'll be there. You'll have it to spend. The question was then, the motion that was made at the meeting, financial meeting, was to make the 27 budget the same as the 26 budget. That was actually in the minutes of the meeting. And I attached those minutes to the email I sent to the two town solicitors. So the question then is, do you either make those cuts or not make those cuts and spend the money? And what are the legal implications if you spend the money? Can you be sued? Is there some other implication? I think, as we discussed, legally, there's a good chance that there might be a ruling that says that 882 is not a legal cut, but I can't guarantee you that. I think there's also a good chance that, I think it is highly unlikely that anybody's going to sue you if you spend the money. Who would sue you? The Attorney General? I don't think he cares. Could the Auditor General somehow come and say you violated something? I think it is just as likely that the Auditor General could rule that what was done at the financial meeting for both the 154 and the 882 was illegal, and the auditor could tell you that. But I can also tell you that what the auditor's worried about right now is Cranston's 10 million in the hole, Providence is 19 million in the hole, North Providence, Johnston. If you go to him and say, we got this unique problem, we have too much money, he's gonna laugh at you and ignore you. So who is going to sue you if you do something?
I was referencing, like, there's a legal reason why you have to notify people by a certain date.
That's a
right?
separate issue, yeah.
Right. So, if then you rescind it, and then for some reason you still have to make the cut, is what I'm saying. What?
You can't lay off teachers after the June 1st deadline. They're our employees.
Okay.
My question, Shelley, is based on this, and I don't know who's in your working group, but you refer to them as a working group?
Yep.
But there's no names to it?
No.
Okay. Your private working group.
So I just
has
want to
put together-
clarify.
Just a second, Amy.
Yeah, continue.
Has put together a budget that cuts 882,000 change.
Actually, more than that, it cut $978,740 total.
On the back?
On the adjustment summary that I gave you.
Do you know what the expenses were tied to just make those cuts?
I have the whole breakdown.
No, that's not what I'm asking. The clarification of what they were tied to.
Well-
I was just looking on one column where it said to cut auditing services, and we have a contract, like by $10,000. We have a contract with the auditors, and that's a contractual obligation. You can't just cut it by $10,000. So I'm just wondering what.
So there's, and that's why I went over. But like for the tech, and like when I asked you at the last meeting about the professional technical services, which are.
A category.
Well, that was, you needed nurses. So that's why I didn't reduce it by the 500,000, I only reduced it by the 340.
Right, so which line did you reduce it by? Do you know what the line?
I did by the buckets, we did it by the buckets.
Okay.
But all I'm trying to say, Greg brought up a comment, and this is all I'm trying to, I do not want to do layoffs. I want to try to continue. This is why, hold on,
Shelley,
this is
no,
why we
Shelley,
are
but-
trying to rush it.
Right, no, we're not rushing it. We've been working on this since March 10th. We've
No,
been
no, no.
working on this actually before March 10th, but wait a second. You made a motion with you put together a budget with no teacher layoffs, but you have no understanding of what you cut.
Well, I've gone through years of past budgets, and if there was
you
extra money
picked
for the past 2
arbitrary
years, if there have been years that it hasn't been used, I'm sorry, that's called padding a budget. I went back for 2 years.
So I think that's an inappropriate comment of padding
Yeah,
the budget,
can-
and you have had
Renee,
no,
can-
I want to clarify this,
Okay.
because it's not a comfortable conversation, right? I'm not padding a budget. What I would say is, if these are your recommendations, I would have appreciated a conversation to say, what does the auditing line, and I would have said, oh, Shelley, you can't cut $10,000, yet you're putting it out there that you're cutting 10,000. There's a cut in transportation of $100,000. Do you know what that's for?
CTE busing, because we have $800,000 that transportation.
Do you
Hold
know-
on,
no,
hold
no,
on,
Do you know
CTE.
that if you cut that line, it's not about the revenue coming in, it is about the expenditure going out. So the revenue will still come in, Shelley.
You have that, but just so you know, it's under the UCOA line, so I had my business manager look at it in Foster, and the UCOA line is under general ed.
Okay.
So it's under the wrong, either under the wrong UCOA line.
Do you know that
Or-
our CTE students are part of our general ed population? So let me just
Well, no, it should have been-
Can I please finish?
Yep.
To make these cuts and present it at there's almost $1 million without having a conversation to see how it impacts the teachers sitting here, more importantly, the students, I think is not appreciated, and going to what Amy said.
If I had more time, I
Marcia
would have
Mc-
gotten to you sooner, and I apologize.
I'm in the middle of a sentence.
Sorry.
Right? The professional courtesy is what I would appreciate, because I'm giving it to you. This is a very important conversation, and it's not something to be taken lightly. But to say that a reduction of $882,000 will not impact educational programs because you're not touching salary is completely false. Because the teachers of whom you're going to work to retain and keep will be reduced in supplies, because there's a big reduction in supplies. They'll be reduced in support. So for you to put this in front without having a conversation, I think is irresponsible, because you don't know what those lines contain. And I just gave you 2 examples.
And I appreciate that. And if I had more time, I do apologize. I did not get it till Friday at 5 o'clock.
You got
So-
what on Friday?
Huh?
Okay,
But
I
you
got
the budget on
the,
Friday
I
because
would
that
have
was
worked on
agreed-
it.
But
I-
that was agreed upon at the Tuesday meeting.
And that's fine,
when
but
we
that's when
asked.
I received it, so, and I could not work on it, so we worked on it as soon as we could. However, like I said, these are money this is buckets of money that has not been spent for 2 years. This is why they were looked at. But Greg made a comment at the last meeting. Greg made a comment earlier. All I am saying is that we wait and see what RIDE says. We should not be making any hasty decisions. I think we should have time and to look at this. We should take time and look at this budget and have a conversation about this.
Did your working group call the superintendent and our business manager to sit down with them?
no, I want to speak
that
to
would've
this. I
been
do want to
good.
speak to this point because I put a lot of time and effort and energy into creating a working group, right? And I haven't even gotten it off the ground because there's been so much pushback around my agenda and posting it, right? Which, legal counsel said it's best, that's what you should be doing if you're having a working group.
Is this on the, is this further discussion? Are we
Well,
going
no,
off
it
agenda?
is absolutely
It is
relevant
about
to the
a
discussion.
working budget, you have a working group to make
Well,
cuts in
someone
our
said it. I
budget.
didn't, someone else said it. I did not say it. Someone said it.
You said working group.
Okay, I just want to finish my point. My point is, I asked this full committee to establish a working group,
Yep.
and people voted on it.
Yep.
And I just removed myself from the whole thing. I think it's absolutely absurd that you could have your own and throw this in front of us, in front of us in a meeting, and expect that this is the outcome, and then for you to continue to go line by line right now when we've already established that this may be a complete white waste of time. So, all due respect, Shelley, I really do like you as I really do, but I'm just floored right now.
Well, in all due respect, Amy, do we go through it line by line? Why is there so much extra money? Why is it? No,
Why
Cindy, hold on.
wouldn't you meet with the superintendent and the business manager and your working group?
Wait a minute, our working group did try to meet with her prior to the budget. They did try to meet with
Your
them.
working group
No,
that you
no.
won't even name?
No.
tried to meet?
People that were part of the working group did meet with Renee and Ann.
What
They-
about the budget subcommittee who worked with
You had one meeting that was posted on the Secretary of State website. One meeting that was posted, and it was during the day people work. So we're going back. Let's talk about right now in the present.
No, we're not going back. We're not going back. The meeting is supposed to be scheduled tomorrow. I've hesitated to even continue it. I thought maybe even I'd cancel it because of the pushback that is essentially asking me to post an agenda when I don't even know what the agenda is, because the whole point of the working group is to create transparency and communication and to integrate the community and to work on our larger problems cohesively. This is not a single-handed approach. This isn't, I get to decide what gets done. That's why I don't have an agenda. I'm not trying to be rude, but you have gotten to say plenty of things. You've gotten to put us in this position in the first place. So I think maybe less is more.
Thanks, Amy. I appreciate that. I do agree less is more. Because the reality, hold on. So if people are going to make accusations, I'm going to say something. So 3 people that I know of sat with Renee and Ann, gave their concerns prior to the second financial meeting, gave their concerns, and nothing was addressed. Nothing changed. One of them was a former school committee member. Nothing changed. They had, what's that?
This is hearsay.
No, no, the reality is, well, no, it's not hearsay because nothing did change. When we had our next regional meeting, nothing changed. When I asked for budget to be on the agenda, nothing changed. So we did try to have, I wanted to have a
we already discussed that
conversation.
it wasn't legal to change the budget after the first meeting. We were in the process of.
That's fine, and you keep saying that it's not legal to go below 0. You can go below 0, so please stop saying it. If you don't need it, you don't need to ask for it. We did go below 0.
I'm saying we weren't to change the budget. We
No,
have
but I know, but
presented the
everybody says
Nope,
it's not
that's-
illegal.
That's not what I said, Shelley. That's
I
not
thought
what I
you said
said.
it earlier, you cannot go below 0.
That's not, okay.
For maintenance of
Beth,
efforts.
go ahead.
So for tonight, our biggest concern is the layoffs. So Renee, if RIDE rules against us, and we really can have to make $882,000, we really do have to lay off those teachers because there's no way, am I correct in that assessment?
Why don't we ask our attorney?
Wait, can I?
Well, that's who would answer, is the attorney, not Renee.
Well, okay.
I'm asking Renee, I'm the one asking the question.
But it's the Greg is the
Can you just,
How about we wait until I address you? Go ahead, Beth.
so I just want the answer
So I think
to
the
that
largest-
because,
The largest part of your budget comes from salary
Salary.
and benefits, and your
Right.
benefits increased, as Ann explained at the last meeting, $150,000. If you cannot make the cuts of $882,000 and don't inform the teachers prior to the June deadline, then you incur that expense. But is my recommendation to reduce the staff?
nobody wants to at all.
And I will say that I know there's question about what these line items are. I can tell you that in the budget process, and some people sitting here are in those roles, it starts in October, which is an early time to make estimates, but there are department leaders who create their department budgets. They know better than I do, and I use the example of how many pieces of wood are needed, and how many screws are needed, and how many art supplies are needed, and all those consumables. They know better than we do, and I turn to them because they are the experts there. So if we need to go back to each department before departments are cut, right, we just want to be sure that, but even if cutting those departments is not going to add to $882,000. And the reduction Ann explained last meeting, reducing the faculty and staff who are in front of you, reduces it by, I think, about $360,000 because of your increase in healthcare. That was over $150,000.
So if we give them the layoff notice, notifying them that none of us want to let them go, we can still rehire by June 30th without all the unemployment. We should have some kind of answer from RIDE by then, right? No?
You may, or you may not. Or the answer might be, it depends, or the answer might be, we don't know either. You need to go to court to get the answer. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, I've told you many, many times. that there is no magic wand that's going to come down and give you an answer.
Let's, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Hello. I think Mike made a great suggestion. I think, Shelley, the reason it got contentious here is because you added onto it to approve the cuts that nobody is ready to do right now because of the legal implications. And Greg already told you have the revenue.
Well, that's what he tried doing. He
No,
tried-
totally. I think what happened, and it's contentious right now, is that when you added on and you wanted to add the motion to approve the cuts, everyone was like, no, no one's ready to do that. Not a great idea. What Mike said was not to lay off the teachers, wait on the budget. You have the revenue, like Greg said. Done for now.
I agree.
Right? But
It fell apart when you said, let's
No,
go
no,
back.
Mike,
We-
because Mike made
yeah.
a motion, and you guys said no.
No. It fell apart when you said, let's go back to the level
Wait a
with
minute.
the 26.
The only reason why is, okay, I'm not gonna go, he said fine.
Sure. I just argued that we should change the language of the motion to reflect how it seems like most of the body feels, and to give them ease while we wait and discuss the budget, that we should be rejecting the teacher layoffs, because I think that that's where everyone's at for the most part. I think that it would also be prudent if, it sounds like you'd be prepared to rescind the motion that you made, which has not been seconded, but has been made and articulated, to move back to the 25 actuals, and wait to make any motion on any budget until a later date when we hear back from
Right,
RIDE.
but if we're gonna, we have to keep in mind, if we're willing to reject the layoffs, that we are also willing to reject the cut of 882.
I think that that's probably true. If we're going to move forward rejecting the layoffs, the stance of the committee should be that we are going to fight the $882,000 cut, and we should be confident in anticipating that RIDE would reject it as well. I'm confident that RIDE is going to reject the $882,000 worth of cuts, and so I'm confident not moving on any budget today and not laying the teachers off. That's where I'm at.
Any teachers in the room? Yes. Would anyone like to come up and voice your concerns or your opinions?
No, it's okay if not.
It's okay, but it would be, I think it would be important to hear from you. Like, if you're in the room.
Standing up for 120 some odd people. Mary Keeble, President of the Teachers Association. It's been a long time. I've spent a long time in this district. I've spent times when the budget was a mess, and this is a bump in the road. I would love for you to reject the 882 cut and keep on keeping on. The people who come to work here every day create revenue for you to run a really great school department. The kids who come from out of district, as Mike Barnes, and I will quote him on this, the kids came for a program and they stayed for all of their other classes. And that's because you have quality teachers who care, who are passionate, who enjoy what they do. So please, think about those little babies that cried when they got their letters a couple of weeks ago. It's a hard thing to live through, and some of the people at the table have lived through that. And it's disheartening to walk away from a place you love.
Thank you.
Can I make the motion then? Personally, I'm willing to fight tooth and nail for the teachers and willing to fight tooth and nail for that $882,000. And in light of that, can I make a motion on, I'd like to make a motion to reject the teacher layoffs as presented in the May 18th, 2026 personnel actions due to the fiscal year 2027 budget.
Second.
Third.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Right.
Did you need, was it North, but do you need the Northwest Special Ed? Do you need that? Is that tied to the budget? No, so wait a minute, is this tied to
A
the budget?
recommendation that
145
we,
is
can I make a
special ed.
recommendation now that they're safe and they can go home and sleep, that you take your working group, and, because I wasn't invited to be on it, I don't know if any other school committee members were, anybody, Aaron? No? You,
Yeah, I'll
we
give 'em a
either
call.
work together,
Absolutely.
or you perhaps include
Right,
those
I
who.
mean, I tried to schedule with you around your schedule, right?
And I
It's a
called, we
Tuesday
played phone
evening.
tag like how many times?
Tuesday
Amy?
evening, that's when it is, you said, I'm
Okay.
in the area, but like,
Also-
maybe bring this to the meeting.
Also, there's
Bring your
two
working
people
group
to my
too.
left that are extremely knowledgeable about the budget that could maybe give clarification as to each item and what it actually is.
I agree, but can I ask
that
one
weren't
question about the
included.
Northwest Special Ed? Are we laying them off because of budgetary reasons, because you didn't need them before we don't?
No, Northwest Special Ed dissolved.
So that's, but that was, we did not lay them off, so I didn't know if that needed,
No, they did. That one needs to be approved.
that one needs to be approved. That's before we adjourn the meeting. I wanted to make sure that one needed to be approved.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, just to clarify, compare your group, Amy, to the working group that's out there. Your group was approved by the school committee. So your point about, well, you don't know what the agenda is gonna be, well, that's your agenda item, whether it's organizational, whatever. That's your agenda item to put on the Secretary's website. To defend Shelley, Shelley didn't create this group. So she doesn't have to invite
There's
any.
no, and I'm not,
Wait a minute, let me finish. She doesn't have to invite anybody up on that table because she didn't create the group. There are other people out in the community that created this group. Shelley happened to come in. So we're free to do what we want. We made a presentation. You probably would have had that information a lot sooner before this meeting if the administration had gotten the information out.
I mean, I guess you're losing me, but I agree. I mean, I hear you. And I, like, also, I'm a taxpayer, and I do not plan to sit on this committee any longer. So I will be standing in your position in like 7 short months, right? And here's the reality of the situation, is my only concern is that, you know, when there's an effort to be made to work together and to, you know, have a conversation and to try and understand each other, like, that was literally my effort. And for it to just, you know, again, it's not personal. I'm just stating my perspective on it and the limitations, like fiscal strategy. Like, this looks like a fiscal strategy to me. I feel, you know, and it's not about my feelings, but apparently, like, a lot of this is. So I guess I'll make mine known too. Like, it feels disheartening that, you know, when there's a solid attempt to be intentional and communicate effectively and do so in a way that you're actually acknowledging, like, the different viewpoints, and then for there to be like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. And I hear your point, and I think you make good points. And I don't know that Shelley needs defending. I'm just sharing equal amounts of emotion tonight as everyone else has shared in past meetings. So I think I'm entitled to that.
I know, but you made an allegation towards Shelley.
What allegation did I make?
You said her work group, and then it was mentioned, well, why weren't all the other members, you know, members were asked to sit on yours, and why wouldn't people, well, it wasn't
I'm sorry,
up to
does
Shelley.
this pertain to the budget, Madam Chair? Why are we even talking about this?
Because she made an allegation
Okay,
against
and?
somebody that shouldn't, and I'm not talking to you.
Okay.
So,
Does this pertain
Okay,
to the budget?
Listen,
All right.
I'm gonna end the conversation right here.
Thank you.
don't make an allegation if you don't know
I'm
what
ending-
you're talking
Your
about.
favorite term, out of order.
Is that a threat?
No, it's having a conversation, just like I talked to Mark outside last time.
That's inappropriate, and I don't appreciate it.
Maybe he doesn't want to have a discussion with you.
I'm sorry.
Um,
Can I make a motion to approve the Northwest
No,
Special Ed?
no,
Regional
you may
Ed?
not. I just called on Jen.
Oh, sorry,
I'm
Jennifer.
sorry.
Sorry.
Because this is being called a working group, I'm just curious, was this convened, so my understanding is that this is a
No.
working group, but not convened by this body?
No, so this was a bunch of taxpayers that got together that I was invited
Right.
with, that have
Right.
people that are financial experts.
You know the implication of that, right? So if this is going to be part of a working group that's convened by this body, it needs to be part of open meetings, right? So okay, what you did was great, Brian, actually. I think this is what this is helpful, but to do it through the process is important. So I would have loved to have read this before today, and I'm still going to, so thank you for putting it together. What I came up here to say is because you keep having meetings, I know it feels like it's kicking the can, and one thing I'm concerned about as a taxpayer is that Greg won't, I think you need to put forward a motion so that if you need to take action against the town, not that I want this, I do not want this, but if you do not give him the authority to do that in this meeting, it's just gonna prolong things.
It's actually not on the agenda.
Oh, is
No,
that not
it's-
true, that you
it's-
need to?
Well, it's not that it's not on the agenda because it's regarding the budget.
Yeah,
Okay,
so I'm just, because you were
Pursuing legal-
talking about the
pursuing legal,
town
hiring legal,
appropriations.
I don't know if it
For
is.
the one,
I'm talking about town appropriations
Yeah.
and what you
Yeah.
all discussed about town appropriations. So if you're going to take action, it's just something that you have to
we
discuss.
give him the authority.
You need to give him the authority, I think. Right. So that's that. It doesn't mean you're doing anything. It doesn't mean you're suing the town. It just means that if, you have that discussion, you can at least authorize him. And that's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Hold on a minute,
No,
please.
you know,
Okay.
Maybe get this motion out of the way, but I
Okay,
have
go
a
ahead.
couple of
I make a motion to approve the Northwest Special Ed Regional Collaboration layoffs as presented in the May 18, 2026 budget, personnel, and 2026 personnel actions because of the dissolve. As
Second.
presented.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Can-
Yes,
If I
Greg?
could address a couple of
Yes.
of points that Ms. Baziano made. First, I think as a courtesy to the two town solicitors that I sent an email to just last Friday, let's wait and see what their response is before there's any talk of litigation. I get the point, but I think we have time. With regard to the open meetings law, the working group itself would not be subject to it, but once school committee members sit on that and talk about public business, you don't need a quorum for it to
Also,
be
it
considered
was
a public meeting.
It was built off a document provided to the school committee.
There's a number of factors.
By the
The
school
AG
committee.
looks at 5 different factors when they consider a working group or a subcommittee group as a public body. And if any other members, if this is gonna be something where more than one school committee member is gonna be attending, I think it would, you'd wanna look very closely at whether that's a public meeting, and I would strongly urge you to err on the side of caution and treat it, that's, Amy, I apologize, I know you wanna have you wanna have your working group, but the recommendation is always to err on the side of making it more public, so I would strongly recommend
Right.
that if you're gonna have this working group talk about the budget with any other school committee member, that be advertised under the public meetings laws.
Can I ask a question, Greg? And Amy, I don't want to speak out of turn. I feel like part of the purpose of what she's trying to do there and what I think we empowered her to do as part of this working group is to sort of have more of a think tank approach to it, like a free-form kind of commentary about improvements that we can make, whether it's fiscal, whether it's policy, to kind of come up with ideas that we can do to improve our performance here, to hear the community, because oftentimes these public meetings can be super frustrating. I don't understand how one puts together an agenda for a working group
Very
to
simple.
just have like an open.
One line.
can be very basic,
General
right.
discussion about working
Right.
group on, you can just repeat the name of the working group and say,
Okay.
general discussion.
It sounds like
You
we're
don't-
gonna have a working group on working groups
Yeah,
by
but
the
you
time we're
don't,
done.
it's not like your regular meetings
Fair.
where you have agenda items.
Yeah.
It could literally be one agenda item, which is just free-form discussion.
Discussion? Mhm. That's fine. So
Yeah. It's just the notice part,
Right.
putting it on the website.
And I've been thinking about this and clarifying it in my head, and, because the plan was to have the meeting for tomorrow evening. Right, like in my head, I had this conversation today that, it was really about a solution-focused thinking, right? Like, yes, we know what our problem is, like, to think, differently about lots of things. And then we kind of deferred it because it was like, we were discussing how Gloucester's issue are separate than the region's issues. And, talking about this budget and this problem, am I gonna take this to my meeting tomorrow? No. And if we want me to cancel the meeting for tomorrow, I have no problem doing that, right? Because this is like the time, like, I was gonna just have the discussion about solution focus and have people, because I didn't want to do what Brendan had said before, like, you're gonna, like, pigeonhole yourself, before you even get anything off the ground as far as talking. It wasn't supposed to be, a formal meeting. It was supposed to be like a meeting of everyone who comes together with intention to make things better. That was the goal. So again, I can cancel the meeting right now, publicly for tomorrow and wait till we have an agenda and then include this. But that, again, that's what I'm saying is the intention was to try and come together. And I think energetically we're doing that anyway. So if I need to pass it off and wait and then add this, I will do that.
Can I ask a question? I was just curious, as the document that Ann provided us is a mirror image of the working group, which, well, this was clearly created from that. This was created from this, so I was just curious as to how the working group got the.
It's a public document. It's a budget.
No, this was shared with school
But
committee.
it's not confidential, it's a public document, it's a school budget.
Okay, I was just checking. Thanks. All right, we have to go back into executive session.
I
Okay.
make a motion to reconvene to executive session.
So before we leave, we're not making any cuts, right?
No.
So, yeah, Shelley, what's your recommendation? So we're not making any cuts? Is that what I'm hearing?
Mike made a motion, it was voted on, we approved.
No cuts.
No cuts?
We vote.
No cuts in expenditure.
No cuts in expenditures either?
We're waiting, we're waiting.
We're gonna
here.
wait.
And then in the meantime, I would like to sit with Renee and Ann and go over the proposal.
Each line?
Yep.
Perfect.
I'd appreciate that, thank you.
It was just for layoffs.
Yeah, there was nothing. I only had the layoffs.
It was just layoffs, but
Layoffs only, to
you're-
reject the
we're all-
layoffs.
that was it.
There was nothing in regard to the budget.
I thought you said as we wait for. I didn't say anything. Oh, that was part of your dialogue? Okay, sorry.
So you're good with no cuts?
I will wait, yeah, we're waiting, yep.
They will get a good letter. I will have it typed up tomorrow that says the school committee voted to keep you.
Now, Aaron.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to reconvene to executive session.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? This time we're going somewhere else. I mean, we can go. Where do you want to go? I mean, we can go. It's up to you, wherever you're more comfortable.
Madam, oh,
We're back from executive session at 8:11.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to seal the minutes of executive session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Nope. During executive session, no votes. We discussed.
It's 8:11.
We discussed legal advice, pending litigation, and FY '27 budget. No votes were taken.
Now I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?